Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor, hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. I led the show talking about how unbelievably courageous it is for me to take the microphone just one day after this coughing voice situation that we got going, and I'm being compared to Warren Morris in the chat. I don't know if that comparison really is apples to apples.
I think it is.
Morris took weeks to come back from that hand injury. One day, I'm back in the seat. But I'm going to make it through. So let's talk to Luke Johnson. Speaking of courageous, Luke Johnson joins us on the Jim's Fires hotline talking Saints. How are you, Luke?
Man, it is maybe one of my life's greatest honors to be a part of your Michael Jordan flu game here.
It's just truly special stuff. Went to the doctor's office, got swabbed for strep throat. That's not real fun. And I'm right back in the saddle one day later because we don't have strep and we're going to figure it out. So we'll have to let you do most of the talking in this segment if that's okay with you. It's time to start talking draft in earnest because next week when we talk, it'll be draft day. Do you see any situation where New Orleans does not take an offensive tackle in the first round?
Yeah, I do, actually. It's a situation I don't think the Saints want to be in. But I think if you look ahead of them, there's a lot of different ways it can go. I think everybody is really expecting 4 quarterbacks and 3 wide receivers in that first 10 picks. But I think there's a lot of room for things to kind of go haywire beyond that. Los Angeles Chargers could take a tackle. The Tennessee Titans probably will take a tackle. I think you could talk yourself into the Chicago Bears taking the blindside protector Caleb Williams for the next 10 years. You could talk yourself into the Raiders taking a tackle. Like I think if all that stuff happens, which is possible, are the Saints just going to be like, yeah, I guess we're going to take the 5th best tackle in this draft? I mean, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe they're like, well, we think Brock Bowers is going to be a stud for the next 10 years in the NFL, and we'll figure tackle out. It's definitely a chance that something like that happens. I don't think it's likely, but I think it's possible.
If that tackle run happens in front of them, we know how this organization has operated. We also know that they don't have a ton of draft capital here. Can they move up if 3 of them or 2 of them are gone?
Yeah, I think they can. It's just a matter of when they are going to decide not to keep like borrowing from tomorrow to pay for today. I mean, we're seeing right now that they're in a situation where they badly need depth on this roster, and they need impact players at a lot of positions, and they have 2 picks in the top 150. So, I think we've seen them kind of take a little bit of a more cautious approach in free agency this year than we've seen in years past. A lot of the guys they're signing are you could argue are bottom of the roster guys or guys you're not expecting to make big contributions this year. So yeah, they could absolutely move into the top 11, 10 picks if they feel like there's going to be a chance they don't get a guy at tackle. I just don't know if it's really the smartest move right now, just considering everything they need and they're kind of constant digging out of their holes of their aggressive decision making.
I realized the Rams last year were in a massive rebuild. They had traded off a lot of their stars and were trying to figure a lot of things out. But when I was actually doing some research for Plucker Sports Trivia on Tuesday, I looked at all the draft classes from last year. They made 14 picks last year. I'm not asking for the Saints to make 14 picks, but like how many of those picks towards back into the draft do you think they're actually going to use?
I mean, this is like kind of going into what we were just talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
There's like there was a really good story in The Athletic this week about how teams like the Saints and a lot of other teams out there, they zero in on their guy, and we heard Jeff Ireland talking about it at the Senior Bowl. He's just like, look, when you have a guy that you have conviction about, you do what you can to take him. You don't worry about like amassing more picks and losing out on the opportunity to take the guy. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, the draft is a crapshoot, and a lot of factors go into whether guys are good. I mean, who knows if Peyton Turner never suffers 3 season-ending injuries? Maybe he's a really good player. There's so many different variables that go into whether a guy makes it or not. So I think giving yourself a lot more like ammo, a lot more chances to see if these guys can stick is a smart way to do it. The problem is, obviously it becomes a lot harder to do that in round 5, 6, and 7. The Rams last year, their draft class was awesome, and they hit on a lot of guys in the mid rounds. I mean, I think they got.
I'm looking at it right now. Puka Nacua was a 5th rounder.
Yeah, Puka Nacua was the 5th. They got Steve Avila in the 2nd or 3rd. Kobe Turner had 9 sacks for him as an interior rusher last year. He was drafted in like the 3rd or 4th round.
3rd round.
Yeah, and they got Byron Young, who was also really successful for him. They got him in the mid rounds. That doesn't happen very often. The draft class of the 2017 Saints does not happen very often, where you're hitting on every single player, no matter where you're picking in the draft. But if you give yourself a lot more cracks at it, like you're improving your chances of hitting on one of these guys. Which is why, like, I've been an advocate for the last couple of years of finally trading back. I don't think they should do it in the 1st round, but like if you're in the 2nd round and there's like 4 or 5 guys you like, what's the problem with moving back 10 spots?
To me, this is just
get another pick.
Yeah, to me, like, that's the only way, and I use air quotes here, out of this for the Saints. It's not by trading more and going to get one dude who might be able to rush the passer. Like, you need a lot of guys.
Yeah, and they need impact guys. Which, like, again, you're going to have a really hard time finding those in the 5th round. Like, Puka Nacua does not come around very often. So I just that would be like the most obvious way to do it for me, just considering their financial situation and the fact that guys are going to get more expensive. Derek Carr is going to be more expensive. Alvin Kamara, Ryan Ramczyk. I mean, who knows what's going on with him? Like, you got to stock your roster with as many low cost options as possible. And they've done a nice job finding guys after the draft. Like, they've always had like 3 or 4 guys who are contributors. Who they mine out of the undrafted free agent ranks. But I think they should see that as like, okay, we're actually good at evaluating players. Let's give ourselves more chances to do it.
What other position outside of Brock Bowers? That's kind of the consensus. Is like, if that's there, that may be an offense changing type pick. Is there another position that you would be okay with the Saints taking in the 1st round?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think you could look at their roster and say they have kind of softer needs kind of across the board. But I don't think I would be happy with like Jer'Jon Newton or what's a kid from Texas, the other defensive tackle, I think I like Laiatu Latu from UCLA, but it just seems like the other positions are way more pressing, like other premium positions that you need to address. I think for me it's either tackle or pass catcher, because if the tackles are gone, the pass catcher is going to be there.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers, or even if like the unseen thing happens and one of those top 3 receivers falls, you're going to have an option there as a pass catcher. I don't think the other guys really match up to the collection of talent at 14. Now, 45, it can go anywhere. Like, they could take a safety or a defensive tackle or an edge rusher or an interior offensive lineman. I mean, it can go anywhere. But I think I would be astonished if 14 ends up being something other than a receiver, or pass catcher, or offensive tackle.
Is Equanimeous St. Brown, is he a factor on next year's team?
I don't think they can go into accounting on it.
Okay.
Right. I think the same is true for Cedric Wilson or Stanley Morgan, the other receivers they signed. I think Equanimeous St. Brown, he's like topped out at like 30 catches in the season. Like, I don't think you can think he's just going to be a high level contributor. I would feel a lot better about A.T. Perry than him. And I just think that like they have like St. Brown is a bit of a taller receiver, but I think they still do have like this hole on the roster for somebody who's going to be a contested catch guy who's going to move the chains when you really need it. They were hoping and praying Mike Thomas would be that guy for him the last 4 years, and it just obviously never worked out. So I think that's something that like Brock Bowers could give you a little bit of that. I really like the idea of somebody like Keon Coleman in the 2nd round. Like, he fits exactly what they've been looking for. So I think they still need to add to that. I don't think you can count on those free agent receivers that like being that guy for you.
He's Luke Johnson, covers the Saints for The Advocate down there in NOLA. We'll talk next week on Draft Day. Thanks, man.
Sounds good, man. Hey, good luck with the rest of your show.
I'm going to power through. It's going to be an unbelievable performance. Virtuoso stuff.
Thanks,
See you,
man.
Luke. He's Luke Johnson covering the Saints for The Advocate. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.